Are we good? Okay. Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Sierra Jensen, and I am a program alumni. And we also have with us today Mackenzie, a fellow alumni, and
Hi,
Kayla, our
everyone.
admissions
Hi, everyone.
lead. So in 2016, I went with FutureDocs Abroad to India, and the experience absolutely changed my life, as I'm sure Mackenzie will tell us also. The 2 weeks that I was there were absolutely amazing. Before I went, I was so excited and couldn't believe that a program like this actually existed, and that this was something that high schoolers were able to do outside of the US and everything that I would get to see. Then once I got there, it just exceeded my expectations of how many surgeries I got to see and the doctors I got to interact with and the patients I got to talk to. So it was absolutely amazing. And Mackenzie, do you want to tell us about your experience too?
Yeah, so I had a really similar experience. I also went on the 2016 India trip. And beforehand, I was really excited. I was also really, really nervous. I mean, I had traveled abroad before, but it had always been like tourist trips with my family and things like that. So this was going to be something that was entirely new for me. And so just kind of having all that anticipation and that excitement build up until we actually got to go on the trip, where, like you said, I was just overwhelmed with all of the incredible, medical experiences, but also all of the experiences that I had with the culture as well and with people there. I just got to learn so much about myself and about the world, and have taken so much of that trip with me after coming back home. So, yeah.
That's awesome. Okay, so I would say that the number one question that I get from talking to prospective students and people who are going is, what do you actually get to do on the trip? So I would say that a typical day was normally on the week that you're in the hospital, is you would have breakfast and then go with your group to the hospital, and then you would meet your resident for whatever department you were in that day. And for us, they would take us on their rounds for the morning and show us, each patient of exactly what the case was, their diagnosis, where they were in their treatment, and then they would normally show us any procedures that were going on that afternoon. Then we would have lunch and we would come back and they would show us any more procedures that they had. And then it was kind of a time where we got to ask them questions of what did we want to see? What did we have questions about? Anything more that we wanted to see in their field? Mackenzie, is there anything else you wanted to say about typical days maybe in the med school?
Yeah, so in a typical day at the hospital and at the med school, we just got to be in contact with people that were just, of course, so knowledgeable in their field and were really excited to share these things with us, in both the hospital and med schools alike. And what was really exciting about the med school aspect of it was that we got to be working with cadavers, which is something that you really, you don't get to do that here in the States unless you're in some kind of healthcare educational tract. And even then, it takes a while to get to that point. So being able to get exposed to those, really knowledgeable people sharing their experiences and their education with us, but also getting to be a part of that education and with the tactile cadavers and everything was really exciting and really spurred my interest in healthcare and health education.
That's awesome. Thank you. And then another main question that I get all the time is, what was my favorite day of the whole trip? And with hands down, like without a doubt, it's definitely the OBGYN rotation. For me, that day was just the day that I got to see the most procedures out of any of the fields that I got to see. But it also just opened my eyes to what a really interesting field it was something that I never really considered before, but just how important it is in the terms of public health as well as individual health. I got to see 3 C-sections in one day, which was amazing, 2 hysterectomies, and I got to visit the NICU and play with a ton of newborns, and I just got to see so many cool things. I also got to see a sonogram of triplets, which is something that's very rare that some medical students don't even get to do. So the fact that my group and I were able to see this when we were high schoolers in a foreign country was amazing. What about you, Mackenzie? What do you think your favorite day was?
I think my first favorite day was definitely that first day in the hospital. So we had a few days of adjustment, 1 or 2 days to just kind of get over the jet lag before we jumped right into the medical aspect of everything. And so I remember walking down the street, walking to the hospital for that first time, a city unlike any that I had ever been in before. And even that moment before we even got in the hospital, I remember looking out and there were a bunch of patients just waiting to come in, and they were just this group of people and they were waiting for someone to help them. And so I just remember seeing that and that having such an impact on me. And so then once we actually went inside, we got to go and see a surgery. The very first one that I saw was the patient was on their stomach and they had taken off like the back of the vertebrae. And so we got to look in at the spinal cord. And at some point, the surgeon stepped back and he had each one of us come up and take a turn to see this person's like nervous system just sitting in front of us open on the table while they were doing this procedure for them. And you walk around and you see all of these different aspects about how public health is different in these other countries, but how it's also strikingly similar. So even though it does feel different from what a hospital in America feels like, you still get to see the philosophy of healthcare, and you get to see, even on that first day, what health means to you, and you get to see just so much, so much.
That's awesome. Thank you, Mackenzie. So Kayla, did you want to talk a little bit about the outline of the trip?
Yeah. So right now we don't have a set schedule or like a final schedule, but generally speaking, you'll be up pretty early doing rotation for a couple hours, and then you'll go back to doing rotations, and then that's going to be 5 days a week, 10 days total, 8 hours a day. So that's going to be 80 hours of hands-on, scrubbed up in rotations, watching, assisting, shadowing physicians, and absorbing their knowledge. And then currently we have 2 opportunities for you guys. We have a high school program and a college program for students that are in a 4-year university, ages 18 to 26. Our high school program will take place in Monterrey, Mexico, at the Tec de Monterrey on July 13th to the 28th, and students will stay in the dorms, so you'll get a true college experience. And then our college program will be in Hue, Vietnam, at the University of Medicine and Pharmacy. This internship will be July 19th through August 4th, and students will stay in a nearby hotel. Typically we stay, the hotel is still to be decided, but we usually stay in very Americanized hotels that are really nice and have modern amenities. And all of the doctors and hospital staff will be speaking to you guys in English, so you don't have to worry about any language barriers or anything like that. And then all of the locations are really popular tourist destinations. So they're very welcoming, historical, and safe. And then I'd be happy to go over safety with any parents and students one-on-one, just because I kind of want to stick to Sierra and Mackenzie's experience, because I think it's such a great thing for you guys to hear about and listen to more than one alumni at a time. But just keep in mind that you guys will be chaperoned the entire time, and it'll be by people that are experienced in managing student programs. And then another thing that I wanted to go on while we're talking about the different programs that we have is tuition. And you guys should know that tuition is all inclusive. So what that means is that it takes care of all of your in-country needs. So like your international transportation and airfare, cultural excursions, food, you'll get 3 meals a day, all your housing accommodations, and then the program itself. And I think now, Sierra, we can go back to you.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much, Kayla. So I think one thing that I really want to talk about, and I know Mackenzie has great stories about this too, is not only how valuable the time that you're there doing the internship is, but also the doors that it opens for you afterwards. For me personally, I think the number one thing that helped me with was college applications. I went the summer before my senior year in high school. So when I came back, I had so many things that I could write my personal statement for college apps about, so many different experiences. I chose to write mine about the OBGYN day that genuinely changed my life. And because of it, I now go to a school that I got a half tuition scholarship for that I don't think I would even get in if it weren't for this experience. And also it helps so much when you're approaching people once you're in college about wanting to shadow them, because shadowing is something that you need to do before med school. So not only do you get the shadowing there, but it also helps physicians know that you've been in these environments before, so you know the drill and like what's up. And so they'll be more willing to let you shadow than students who don't have experiences like this. I know that a lot of people, it's also helped them get jobs working as scribes in ERs or getting their CNA certification, really just helping you even further on your path to medical school. But for me, hands down, it was college applications. It made such a huge difference. This is a great thing to talk about in job interviews or school interviews, really anything. McKenzie, do you want to talk a little bit about how it helped you after as well?
Yeah, absolutely. I can honestly say that this trip is something that I have thought back to a lot, especially since coming to college. So like I said before, I went on the summer after my junior year of high school. So it was kind of a while ago, but even still, a lot of people would ask me like what my favorite part of the trip was and what field of medicine it made me want to go into. And at the time I had been planning to be a doctor. And so the more I thought about that question, like what was my favorite part, what kind of doctor do I want to be, the more I thought about how I want to see everything. And so this experience, even though it took me a while to realize it, is really what kind of led me into the idea of nursing school. So right now as a freshman, not only did I end up writing my my personal college essay about this experience and about all of the things that I got to do in India in order to get into this school that I'm going to now, and also the honors program here is also what I wrote that essay about. But now I'm using it to talk about that experience in context of my nursing application. And here it's really competitive, but I've spoken with my advisors and they've said that it's one of the most unique topics that they've seen. And so that really just gives you a leg up on some of your competitors trying to get into different programs, because you do get to have these experiences and you have these other perspectives too on healthcare that are really valuable to share. I think that healthcare is the perfect blend of compassion, advocacy, service, and connection. And so this trip is a place where you get to see that and you get to take all of those with you when you leave. And so, however you want to use those experiences, it's going to benefit you in college apps and job apps, and even getting to know yourself better as a healthcare leader and just as a global citizen, really.
Awesome. Thank you so much, McKenzie. I also kind of want to go off of what you were saying, that I'm sure this was similar for your group as well, that a lot of people came into the trip thinking that they maybe wanted to go in a certain field or really focus on one specialty when they were going there. And then as they were seeing the different fields, their eyes were kind of open to other things. And I know that specifically happened to me. I went into the trip thinking I wanted to do something in neurology because I've always just thought the brain was so cool. There's so much we don't know about it. And the nervous system is obviously so vital to everyone's life. Yet there's still so many unknowns that that was definitely something I was interested in. But then after absorbing everything that we were learning and seeing the OBGYN day, that opened my eyes to this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. And I have no doubts about that. So especially like McKenzie was saying that she went in thinking she wanted to be a doctor, but then she realized that, maybe something more in the nursing field would be great for her. And even if this trip maybe isn't what you expected or something for some reason, you're going to get out of it. You're going to get something out of it, whether it's, you want to be a doctor, or, maybe you don't want to be a doctor, but something else in the healthcare field. And I think that is one of the things that just sets this experience apart and makes it so valuable for everybody who goes. So Kayla, did you want to talk a little bit about our alumni calls?
Yeah, definitely. If you guys would like to speak to Sierra or Mackenzie or any of our other program alumni one-on-one, I'd be more than happy to set you guys up on that. So just feel free to reach out to me directly. I think my phone number and my email address should be linked in the feed below. But I just love hearing what you guys have to say because I think it's so great. And I know that the best thing about this program is everything that you guys have been saying, like talking about, but also the fact that you get exposed to so many different things at such a young age. Because could you imagine if you guys went into college without doing this and then you realized then that you wanted to do something else? I think that it's so much better that you realized it early on.
Yeah.
Road. But other than that, I just want to say that spots are filling up pretty can't talk, pretty fast on a first basis. So I would encourage you guys to enroll as soon as possible. Tuition is $6,250, but like I said, it is all inclusive. And a lot of our program alumni have actually been pretty successful at finding ways to fundraise the program. So that might be something else that you want to speak to one of our alumni about as well. Yeah.
Mackenzie, was there anything else you wanted to add?
Just something that I've been thinking about actually in the past day or so as I've been thinking about doing this webinar. I went to a presentation about the opioid epidemic yesterday, and one of the presenters there, a doctor that I spoke to after the presentation, said that people that are passionate are the people that make a difference. And so you can have all of this passion about healthcare, but you have to put it into action. And I honestly don't think I can't think of a better way to put that into action and to start exploring that than this program. And I'm just really thankful for everything that has led me to. So,
yeah. Awesome. Thank you so much. So I think that's pretty much all that all three of us wanted to say for this webinar. Thank you everyone for joining us and everyone who watches this, but please don't hesitate to reach out to Kayla or any of our social media for any more questions that you have about the program, because Mackenzie and I could talk about this for days because we loved it so much. So feel free to set up an alumni call or anything else to get your questions answered, because we know that we would love to see you on one of our trips this summer.
Thank you, Sierra.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.
Bye.